The search for the first Asian immigrant began as a research concept conceived by three Binghamton University students, Joshua Chorman, Zachary Finnegan, and John Moran, under the guidance of Professor Lisa Yoon in her community engagement class. The first evidence was found at the Broome County Genealogical Society in a journal entry titled Orientals in Broome County. The article focuses on the 1880s and until after the end of World War II. This article mentions the Saki family, spelled S-A-K-I, and where they lived. The article mentions girls ages 5 and 6 playing in front of the Saki's house in front of Ross Park in 1916 to 1917. According to the birth dates on the 1925 New York State Census, the Saki sister would have been 8. She had 3 brothers aged 10 and 2, with Clarence being 4. The article's writer, Irma Shepard Griffith, mentioned a suspected correlation between Clarence H. Saki, spelled S-A-C-K-E-Y, the welfare administrator of Broome County in 1952, and the Clarence H. Saki, spelled S-A-K-I, of the Saki family that she mentioned earlier. In our research, we could not find early info specifics on Clarence Saki, the welfare administrator, but he does share some of the same important dates that Clarence H. Saki, that lived in front of Ross Park, has. They share the same birth year, the same first name and middle initial, and a very similar last name. Saki, S-A-K-I, and Saki, S-A-C-K-E-Y, are actually the same person who used 2 names. We assume that Saki changed the spelling of his last name during his military enlistment. Clarence H. Saki was recognized for his social service work in Japan during and after World War II. He came home and applied those same social service skills in Binghamton. Saki had a 5-member team under his leadership, and after retiring for 10 years, he was welcomed back as Broome County Social Administrator once again. The search for the first Asian settler to Broome County continued at Binghamton University Library, where we were helped by librarian David Vos to find 4 Chinese people on 2 censuses, 1900 and 1890. Unfortunately, a fire had burned the census records and the names were lost. We did find a wedding certificate of a Eugene Yao for 1914, but there was no evidence linking this man to the 4 nameless Chinese on the lost census. Eugene Yao practiced dentistry at 124 Oak Street in Binghamton. Yao could be a Chinese surname, but it could also be an English surname, as it could have derived from the term Yaoman, which designated a particular social class in late medieval England. The name origin statistics online were integral in ruling out Yao's Asianness because census race information was unreliable and less than modern information gathering. At Broome County Library, where the Broome County Genealogical Service is located, the same file containing the Orientals in Broome County journal entry also contained an EJ Workers Review, an in-company business letter. The EJ Workers Review contained an article on settlers from Jerusalem who were working at the Corliss Ave soul casing room. The article seemed excited to have exotic newcomers in the area. The article introduced Jadella Abbott and his brother and sister-in-law. They moved to the United States in 1914 and settled in Johnson City. At this point in the search for the first Asian settler to Broome County, we had assumed that the nameless Chinese, whose 1900 census information was lost, were the earliest Asian settlers. Even the article Orientals in Broome County assumed that the earliest Asian in Broome were cooks and laundrymen, and in Broome no earlier than 1880. We continued the search at the Broome County Genealogical Society, aware that we may not find detailed information on the individuals, when we were approached by Jerry Smith with a book called Skylight and Sunbeams. This book detailed an early Binghamton photographer, Wellington G. Singhi, who Jerry Smith believed to be of Asian descent. In 1869, Wellington G. Singhi worked as a photographer in Bainbridge and then again as a photographer for J.C. Frey in Marathon, Cortland County. By 1871, Wellington had opened a photography studio and supply shop in Waverly, New York. In 1873, Singhi moved to Binghamton. On April 20th, 1874, there was a fire in Singhi's studio in Binghamton over D.L. Brownson's grocery store at 67 Court Street. After the fire, Singhi moved to 72 Court Street. Singhi moved back to 67 Court Street by August of 1874. Besides being an accomplished photographer, Singhi also was an inventor. Wellington G. Singhi invented a podium with adjustable height setting to suit photography subjects of all heights. Eventually, Singhi moved away, and after 23 years he returned to visit his friends in Binghamton, and his visit was announced in the Binghamton Press newspaper as a warm welcome. Singhi was listed as white on census information and marriage records, which Singhi had multiple of because of his having been wed multiple times. At this point, Clarence H. Sackey was listed as white on his military records. Eugene Yao was listed as white on his marriage records, and Judella Abbott was listed as white on New York's 1925 census, making race identification difficult. Singhi was born in Rockland, Maine, but his mother is not identified by paperwork, though his father is clearly identified as F.A.D. Singhi. F.A.D. Singhi was born in Italy and listed as white on Maine's 1850 census. Findings show that the northeast of the United States was much more progressive than the perceived norm for the rest of the country. Not much care went into documenting immigrants' race. Clarence H. Sackey held public office. Judella Abbott was welcomed warmly by a community excited to include diversity. Eugene Yao was a dentist, though he was likely white, and Singhi was a celebrated businessman and artist who was honored by newspaper articles for visiting the area years after he moved away. Although no concrete evidence on Singhi's race surfaced, the strongest lead we found was in name statistics online. According to Kimberly Powell on About.com, the name Singh has strong Indian roots, and further research found modern Indian people with the name Singhi. The name Singhi is possibly an Indian name of Sikh origin. It also might be a Chinese name such as Singhi. We have found the first Asian immigrants to Broome County, and we plan to investigate these individuals further to find out more about the lives that they lived. We may never have definitive proof of the race of these first Asian settlers to Broome County, and many of the original buildings that they lived in have been lost to modernity, but these people were pioneers and deserve to be remembered.